Hi, my name is Trine. I'm a self-made solo female backpacker, and this is my channel.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So are you considering going out on your first backpacking trip? Well, this is what it can look like. So I filmed this trip in Danish, so I'm just gonna flip it over to English now. What I'm saying here is pretty much if you're considering going on your first trip, it doesn't matter if you're completely new or experienced. If you don't know the trip, you're gonna have some ups and downs and surprises. And I did that a lot on this trip. And that's pretty much gonna shape you for the next many backpacking trips and hikes you're gonna take. It can be like what kind of nature you like and trail you wanna hike. It can be what kind of gear that works for you and makes your trip the best trip you need. And you figure out how many days you would like to hike and kilometers per day and stuff like that. And you figure out if you like to hike alone or you need someone with you on your trip. There can be a lot of pros and cons, and I'm going to talk about that in another video, so stay tuned. So let's see how my trip started. My trip started out with an 8-hour train ride, and yes, as you might guess, I'm never doing that again. And then I was finally on trail, and what's it like if finally being on trail? It's really weird. You have to get used to it. There's so many things with the backpack and the weight, and suddenly you have to go from a bed and food everywhere to nothing. So it's kind of big change you're going through right now. So as you can see, I was pretty excited. And when I see a view, I'm gonna be there and take so many pictures. So what I figured out pretty fast was when you're not used to it and you haven't trained from the trail maybe, like I didn't do, then taking on the backpack is gonna be a kind of big change. It's gonna hurt or be annoying or uncomfortable, and that's just how it is. But I promise you, after some time, you're gonna get used to it and the backpack is pretty much gonna be a part of you. So first day and already first problem, and that was food and water. There's so many things you have to think about before going to the trail, and somehow I forgot thinking about how much food and water I would need. And when you're out on the trail, there's no promise that there will be food and water on the trail that you can buy or tap anywhere. So either you're gonna learn to have more weight in your backpacks and then you don't have to think about food. Or in my case, you're kind of gonna have to be willing to ask people for help. And I did that. I didn't have any proper food, and after a long day of hiking and stuff, it's gonna take a lot of your energy. So I had to go into a house, ask someone if they had some water for me, and then they gave me some food as well. It was easy for me to have to ask, because otherwise I wouldn't have enough proper food to eat that night, and I needed that a lot. And as you figure out pretty fast, no matter what the problem will be, maybe for you that you have to ask for help or guidance or anything, you learn that people are more than willing to help you. And that's one of the things that's gonna make you love hiking. And there's actually a saying for it, and that's the trail provides. It's really something special that you can only experience on the trail. So now it's time to tell you one of the big reasons why I failed this trip. And it's taking your tent with you in Germany. It's not allowed to set up your tent in Germany. I was in a national park, so it was a big no-no to do that. And I set up my tent for the day and I got discovered by a park ranger. He was very sweet and let me sleep there for the night, but it's very embarrassing to think about it now that I know more about hiking and what's allowed and what's not. So what can I say? You should think that it was a no-brainer, the things that I learned on this day with the food and the tent and stuff like that, but that's just how it goes. So time for the second day, I needed food. I hitchhiked into the city to get some food, hitchhiked back to the trail again, and continued on the trail. I can say that it was amazing to see all the nature and views and flowers and everything that I've only seen online, so it was pretty cool to see it on trail now, and that's something that really motivates you when you're on trail, trust me. So a time for a little nasty detail. Don't wear cotton on the trail. I learned that the hard way. It gets soaked in sweat and a very long time drying up and stuff like that, so you're gonna go around and be cold when you stop. You bet that when I got home from this trail, I used a lot of money to buy new gear so I didn't make the same mistakes, you know. And it's time to go up the mountain of the national park. So I've timed the trail a bit off from what the website recommended, so I ended up have to hike 600 meters up. You learn the hard way what 600 meters of elevation is. It can be very different from trail to trail and how it goes up and stuff like that, but you kind of have to hike it before you get a sense what to be prepared of when you see the elevation changes on the trail. So I was not prepared and it was hard. This is one of the most normal feelings you will ever experience when you are on a trail. When you hike up a mountain or anything and you are just struggling or whatever, sweating, your legs get weak, whatever, and you're thinking you hate the trail and why did I do this? I hate this and stuff like that. And then you get up the mountain, see the views, relax, have a bit of a break, and then you're gonna look at the view and be like, oh wow, I love this. I love hiking and this is me. Well, as you can see, it was absolutely beautiful. I definitely had one of these experiences and I was so excited. Well, as you might have anticipated, it only goes down from here. I of course set my tent up again. I will say in my defense that I have just gotten this new gear. I really wanted to use it. I was so excited, so I took my tent with me and I didn't have any money, really. It's one of those experiences when you think that hiking and sleeping in tent and stuff like that is actually cheap. It's not as you may think, and I'm gonna make a video about that later, don't worry. But on that trail it was the cheapest way I could figure out and get things to work for me, and I got discovered by a park ranger again. I was lucky that it was 6 in the morning he discovered me, so I did get a good night's sleep, and he was very nice and gave me a half an hour to pack my things down and get on my way. So the next thing that is a major thing that actually ended up stopping me for hiking the trail, and is the second major thing that made me fail this trip, was wrong shoes. I can't explain enough how important good shoes, hiking shoes are. I bought the cheapest pair I could find. Shoes are kind of expensive, so that was where I saved a bit of money. I ended up hurting my feet and get blisters, and my feet started to swell, and it felt like it went into my bones, like the bones were sore or something like that. When I had hiked for 4 days, I had to stop this and take care of myself and take a breather. This is not good. So I hiked 77 kilometers out of the 100 kilometers the trail are. It's difficult to tell you how is 77 kilometers feel like when you don't know how long it is and how your body and everything feels like after hiking that long. Then it feels like 200 kilometers instead of just 77. When you hike and go on a trail and you don't know the trail and you don't know what can happen and stuff like that, then you should always be prepared to make a plan B. that's just how it is, and I have made a plan B many times. And that doesn't make it necessarily a failure like my trail, and you don't have to prepare much more to go on a trail to get a better experience than I did. I would just have to say that. So I was pretty lucky about my plan B. The next step on the trail was actually hiking to a suspension bridge, and I could instead now take the bus there, and it would only take me like 10 minutes. So it was easy and it was beautiful, and there were beautiful views. As you can see, there are a lot of people, and I'm not a fan of that. The second thing I did was to hitchhike to Harzer, it's the city where the trail actually ends. You can take a cable car to a place called Harzer-Hexen-Steig, and that is definitely the second biggest reason why I wanted to hike this trail. It's absolutely amazing. So that's pretty much how my trip was. I know it is a tough example, but I learned so many things that I could use on my later trips. The trip ended with me, of course, taking the train home, and it was a disaster, and I can't really explain it, so I'm just gonna let the pictures tell the story for you. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you on the next video. Bye!